Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 3 of the Muck and Mire 2021 Montgomery football season recap. And Keith Glock, Brandon Furey, and joined by wide receiver extraordinaire, Mark Jenkins, wide receiver 1. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Doing all right. How about yourself?
I can't complain. I could, but no one would listen anyway, and nobody really cares. So in any event, I'll start this off. I'll tee it up to you just the same way that I did to Brando and to Benitez in our 2 episodes previous to this. You've now had a week or two to kind of decompress from the football season. And as you just like look back on the season as a whole, where does your brain go first?
I mean, honestly, the biggest thing for me right now, Fridays are like lonely for me now. Like I'm happy with everything that happened during the season, but like it's just tough now for me. Like my grandma was texting me on Friday, like saying she missed the games. It's been tough. Weird.
Brando, same for you. I mean, the other day, I feel like it summed it up the whole thing when I was like, well, when can you do it? And you're like, well, I got nothing but time now.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks, but yeah, it is what it is. It's part of life. All good things, unfortunately, must come to an end. So that's what we're dealing with now.
So Mark, you are starting to get a little bit of D3 football interest, from some folks, around the local area to here. And D3 football recruiting is a little weird like that. It's like the latest, like with recruiting happening so early in like almost every sport, it feels like D3 football is one of these ones that's kind of like a relic to throw back to the past. For you, and I don't want you to I'm not trying to put pressure on you to say like whether you want to play football or you don't or any of these things, because I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that going into this season, you didn't really think college football was going to be in your future. And, maybe this is like the Montgomery in me where everything feels like our community is like, let's hurry up and run and be the first person to commit to do a thing here or there. I'm going to take the SATs in 4th grade. And, like the nutty stuff that people think that like on some insane level, an insane human being level, it would be like, hey, one of our best players doesn't want to play college football. I think that would turn heads to some people in our community to say like, well, then why is he even doing it? Like, tell me about, your, not only senior season, but I guess like just your approach to playing football and kind of doing it because you love doing it and not because you're trying to win this prize.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like as a little kid, I had dreams being in the NFL like everyone else. Or
Sure.
Yeah, but I mean, as I got older, I didn't really have the size, obviously. I didn't have a whole lot of playing time. I mean, I started on defense, but last year, but I've always wanted to be more of an offensive player. So I finally got my time to shine my senior year, and now it's kind of just approached me, and it's like, wow, I could actually, maybe have a chance at something, even if it's just a small school. So I'm looking at every opportunity I can get, and I'm excited to make this decision.
The notion of multi-sport athletes has largely like it's not, things aren't like they were back in the day. I want to say at a place like that's as big as Montgomery. I think in like the small school community where there's just not that many kids in the school, you have a lot of multi-sport athletes that play 2 or 3 sports. Back in the day, when I was in school, like most everybody who was a star player played 2 or 3 sports. And so you're a little bit more of a throwback, to that, as you approach, a season off, but then, coming back to play baseball. Talk about, the differences that you've seen in being a multi-sport athlete versus the guys that are just focusing on one or the other. And take that any way you want, from like a training perspective, an attitude perspective, anything.
Yeah, the biggest thing probably would be the training perspective, because I mean, obviously someone who's only playing football, they can work their whole off season through the winter, through the spring, through the summer, and do everything they got to do. But for me, for anyone else who's playing another sport, obviously you're gonna have to focus on that sport when the time comes. So it's harder to perfect your craft in one specific area when you're trying to do both.
So what now, just height and weight wise, what are you going right now?
Right now I'm about 5'8", 155.
5'8", 155. So now you're not exactly as huge as the I'll call him self-proclaimed because that's how it was described to me. Okay, so when he listens to this, I hope I'm not going to be the one that gets in trouble. The self-proclaimed very good starting offensive tackle at 5'6", 165 pounds. That was your dad, who played at the wrong St. Peter's. He played at the St. Peter's in New Brunswick, and as a St. Peter's Prep Jersey City graduate, I will call it the wrong St. Peter's happily. No thought of following in dad's footsteps and playing on the line, huh?
No, not really. I mean, I've always wanted to score the touchdowns, but he always brought me up, telling me about how his technique was so good. So
his technique
I
better
like
have been good at 5'6", 165.
Yeah, but I like to think that I kind of got some of that from him, even if it's not on the line. I like to think that I took that to the receiver room.
Yeah, I would say so. But you have told me that his sport was baseball, even though as good and decent of a football player as he was. That's kind of where maybe you feel like you got a lot of your baseball roots from.
Yeah, definitely. And he was a center fielder, and I just started playing center field last year. So it's cool to talk to him about like how the game has changed since he was younger, and like it's just things like that, and him giving me tips and stuff. And he actually, since I didn't really play in the outfield earlier in my life, so he's actually been really enjoying that I finally got to play out there now.
I'm sure. Is there a parallel between tracking a baseball and tracking a pass?
Somewhat, yes. Center field is a lot like playing free safety, which I think is why I'm a good center fielder. But the thing is, playing center field, it's different in ways because you can just camp under a ball and you don't have to necessarily go up and jump up for every single ball. And Coach Sano was getting on me for this a little bit during the season, for kind of sitting back at safety and waiting for the ball to come to me as if I were playing center field rather than trying to go up and pick the ball off, which on one or two plays specifically kind of hurt me there because I wasn't able to get the pick on those specific plays. But there's definitely some similarities, but also some differences.
You made, in my opinion, and other guys might object, I think you made the play of the year this year. Your diving touchdown in the back of the end zone was as fantastic a catch as we've seen somebody make. I mean, certainly in recent memory for me, at Montgomery. Take us through that play specifically. How and where I'm interested in is how in the world, after you've run that far, do you have an understanding that you have like 4 inches left to go and still get a foot down on that play?
Yeah, so that was a pretty wild play. So actually, let me correct you. It was my shoulder that landed inbound. So I didn't have to necessarily use my.
Well, I'm sorry, you ran about 7 zip codes, and I could barely see you from where you were. That's how far you freaking ran.
Yeah. So I believe it might have been a third down. So we were trying to take a shot and get the first at least. And I actually ran a bad route. I was running a corner, and I took an inside release, which you're not really supposed to do because then the defender is between you and the sideline. But I was able to get back on top of him and make my way to the corner. And I saw the ball out of Mike's hand, and I was like, wow, that's pretty far away. So I was just running as fast as I could. I saw it. I was like, oh, am I going to get there? And I just laid out naturally, and I just got it by the tips of my fingers. And as I turned and looked down as I was falling, I see the sideline right in front of my face. And I'm like, I couldn't even tell whether I was on the right side of it or the wrong side of it. All I could see was that white line right in front of me. And then I just got up and I looked at the ref and he said I was in. So it was all celebration from there.
That's all. I mean, like, what's the feeling like when you get up and you're like, holy stuff, I just did that?
I mean, it was wild. I didn't really know how cool it was until I saw after, until I watched the film. And there was also this other angle. There was a filmer there. There was another pretty cool angle of it, and that's like one of the coolest videos I'll ever have. I'll keep that with me forever.
And rightfully so. Switching back gears back to baseball, and we talked with Alex about this yesterday, obviously, but the prospect for you of maybe playing alongside him in the outfield in baseball this year.
That would definitely be awesome. Playing football with him pretty much my whole life. And I used to play baseball with him, but we were never really next to each other like that. But there's a certain chemistry between the outfielders. I experienced it with some of my teammates last year, and I think me and Alex would fit perfectly together out there.
You guys have had to experience certainly, the wackiest couple of years in educational history, modern educational history anyhow. And yet you've built this program in your collective image, I would say, as seniors, which is to say a very close-knit, very humble, a very hardworking, with my apologies, probably not the most physically talented and physically gifted bunch of guys. I guess in a time where the major obstacle that was created by COVID was forcing us to be apart physically, how in the world did you guys create what you have?
I mean, so obviously we weren't really in school together, but we were still finding ways to get together, to find a field to play on together. And we were really just making connections the whole off season, even though we didn't really have, like, obviously you couldn't just stay at school and just stay on the turf after school. But, we just were able to find ways that we could just get together and work. And it built a great bond between all of us. And like you said, we're a pretty small group of guys, most of us, excluding Brandon. But we found a way to make it work. And it was great.
Yeah, it was tough, but I mean, we had a choice, and I kind of think we knew in the back of our minds that us sitting around, even just working out by ourselves, was not going to help us in our junior and senior year get back to where we were our sophomore year. So we knew that we had to work and kind of ignore some of the guidelines given.
So we were outside. It's all good. We don't have to worry about that now. We're all right. So, I just talked about you being a two-sport athlete. And actually, before I even get to that, I think if you were just like on the outside looking in, or you're maybe a Montgomery graduate listening to this, and you're thinking about, the natural rivalries that exist within your, the school system, it's, for a very long time, the rivalry was Montgomery-Hillsboro. That was the Thanksgiving game for so long. And then it felt like Immaculata kind of became a big rival. Certainly Hunterdon Central spans, multiple sports where there's a big rivalry that exists. I don't know that anybody's jumping to Montgomery versus Scotch Plains, as a huge rivalry. But as I've learned more and more about what's happened over the last 2 years in the games between us and them, I've learned very quickly that how important that game was to you all, and then now in hindsight for this team. And I'll let you guys speak to the bad blood after the game your junior year, and just kind of what beating them meant to you this year. But I want you both to talk about, after you get to that part of it, the scene in the locker room after the Scotch Plains win, because I know there was some fun stuff going on there. But give me just kind of the big picture.
Yeah, so junior year, well, actually, I'll start with sophomore year. We whooped them. We put 50 on them. It was 50-14. One of the most nonchalant football games I've ever played in. We came out and we absolutely destroyed them. And I like to think we were pretty respectful about it. I mean, I guess it's not very respectful to put 50 on someone, but we, it's not like we were talking to them or, posting stuff online after. We just naturally scored 50 because we were that good. And then our junior year, they kind of played with that, like remembering that, and they were just more motivated for that game than we were. And we wanted to win. We really did, but we didn't see it as a rivalry because even in our bad years before our sophomore year, we would still whoop them. So them coming out and playing like that and taking it to us, and then after the game, calling us soft from across the field, by the way, not during the game. It was after. We remembered that. And I remember talking to Coach Milich in the offseason. He said, if we win one game this year, it's that game. Because we don't take that from anybody, especially on our own field. So to be able to dominate them the way we did this year meant a lot, because they were a good team. And there's no doubt about that. But we took it to them. We wanted it so much more than them. And then I'll let Mark say what happened after.
Yeah. Also, one thing I just want to add, I believe they were favored by 2 scores. So that also added a little bit.
That's true.
We were trying to.
FanDuel had it -12. I thought.
No.
Yeah.
Simon Pincus is the guy. And we don't like him very much, but hopefully he doesn't see that.
He just started following me on Twitter, actually.
No, don't follow him
So,
back. We don't like that guy.
I'm gonna tag him in this episode now when we post it on Twitter.
Oh God. But yeah, so Mark, you want to take us to what happened after the game?
Yeah. So obviously we made our way back into the locker room. We were feeling pretty good, and we had some music going and we were all dancing, just having a great time. We were just celebrating, And then in comes Coach Milich, and we were, we haven't really seen, like, I don't know how to say it. We haven't really seen like a super fun side of him. So we were expecting
the human side of him. That's fine. Yeah. I'll say it for you.
So we were expecting maybe him to, I don't know, just walk through, maybe tell us to turn the music down a little. But to all of our surprise, he walks through and then he stops near the door to the coach's office. And, he's like, we don't know exactly what he's going to do. And then he just starts dancing with us. And then we all just start going crazy, and everyone's energy is just building up. And we're all just going crazy. We were trying to take some videos to capture it. I don't think anyone managed to get it, though. I think we caught it just at the end. But that was definitely an awesome moment. So much fun in there.
What actually happened was a couple of days before, like during that week, he was talking to me and Alex, and he was like, if we win this game, like I'll dance in the locker room, like said something like that. So then as he walked through, he tried to get away, and I was like, hey coach, don't think I forgot. You're dancing like right now. And he started dancing. So it was great. Team loved it.
You clowns tape everything. Yeah, there's nothing that happens on planet Earth that someone isn't videotaping. I don't ask very much of you all, okay? But even if it was just for my own personal files, just so that we could bust his stones in like coaches group chats behind the scenes, the number of like gifts that I could have come up with the Milich dancing could have been endless. Okay. So I would like you all to know that this is not something I'm going to forget anytime soon, but I'm happy you all enjoyed
it. No, what's funny is I was a couple days after the season, I was talking to Curry, and I was saying, take a ton of pictures and videos this basketball season, because I regret living in the moment. I should have taken more pictures of this, not even just that, but just the entire way. Like, it's moments you're never going to forget. And I wish I took some more pictures and videos.
Got to hire possibly a small internet broadcasting company to document things a little bit more. We're for hire. Christ.
Let's get just a locker room camera up and just see what you guys
Listen,
find.
I got people. We could just hit the record button. We'll be all right. Edit it down later. So, you kind of have a season off now, Jenkins, in the middle of between football and baseball scholastically. But I'm well aware that there is a very, very intense rec hoop season on tap for all of you. I say that jokingly because I didn't realize how like bananas you guys are about this rec basketball thing. Tell me about it.
No, yeah, it's definitely a big deal. We like to take it very seriously, especially in our senior season. Obviously, I'm trying to win. My team has never been good. I've never been on a good team, so I'm trying to make a change to that this year and do whatever I can. I like to think of myself as a pretty good player. I scored 30 points as a sophomore actually in one game, which is like one of my all-time highlights, one of my all-time greatest moments in my life. 30 points in the rec league. So I'm trying to see if I can replicate that and maybe make a run in the playoffs this year.
I'm glad you enjoyed your 30-point game while I was in the championship. But yeah, go ahead, Mr. Glock.
Oh, shots fired. I was getting to your championship game performance. Apparently, though I've heard it from you, you had a pretty stellar game in the championship a little bit back. Besides,
I did.
Air quotes.
I put 13 on them, and I'm pretty proud of that. I was probably averaging around 8. So you know, I like to think my level of play increases as the games get more difficult. I also think I'm, you know, probably one of the best in the pool that can be drafted. I think I'm one of the best returning players. And I'm just looking to pick up where I left off. I'm really excited.
Oh, well, listen, I would love to tell you that I'm going to come out and watch some of that, but I'm not gonna. I'll wait for the stories from you guys. So
what if we're in, you know, like a good amount of us, like me and Mark, are in the championship. Could we get the MIRE out there for that? I mean,
listen,
you just
baby,
said you're up for hire. I mean,
everything is available for the right price, and we'll do it pretty much anything. Oh, one day I'm gonna actually I'll Venmo you all like $5 25 years from now whenever I break even from when I started this in 2011. How about that?
That sounds good to me.
That's my promise to both of you on this podcast right now. So congratulate me in 25 years. So anyway, Mark, thanks, man. This is a lot of fun. I regret that it took us this long to get you on, but maybe we can get you on at some point during the hoop season, because it's a long ass hoop season and we do this every week. So, you know, any kind of entertainment we can get, we'll take.
Definitely.
All right. This has been episode number 3 of 5 of the Muck and Mire 2021 Montgomery High School football season in review. Make sure you tune back in during your 5 a.m. commutes or whenever it is, if anybody even commutes anymore, for the last 2 episodes with Michael Schmelzer and Gavin Guidetti. All of that will lead us up to high school basketball season, which opens Friday, December 17th at home against Hillsborough. Brandon Furey, Mark Jenkins, Keith Glock. Thanks, boys.
Later.